Welcome to Love in Life, a guide to a positive mindset. My aim is to show you that the key to a happier and more positive mind is to love the life you have. We will look at tips and tools you can use to improve your mindset, and the best thing is, we'll all be on this journey together. Hello everyone. This is episode 5. I probably say this every week, I cannot believe I'm on episode 5 already. I've had an amazing week for downloads. I've seen a massive increase this week, so thank you so much to everybody that's been listening. My weekly update on the dogs, they are with me today. My husband was away last week in America for work, so it's a long story, but one of my dogs, Hugo, who I might have talked about, he is very attached to my husband. I've just realised I always call him my husband. He has got a name, it is Craig, so from now on I'm going to call him Craig. So whenever I say Craig, you know who I'm talking about. So when Craig was in America, Hugo pines for Craig, but I think when he goes away long time for work, dogs just have this sixth sense, don't they? He just knew that Craig wasn't going to be back, so he seemed to chill out a little bit. Whereas now Craig's back, he is constantly like worrying about every single noise. He barks whenever he hears anything. So yeah, he's really annoying, basically. But obviously I do love him dearly. Rosie, on the other hand, my other dog, she is so chilled out. Sometimes you don't even know she's even here. So yeah, there we go. That's your update on the dogs, which I know you all live for. Something else I know you probably haven't been able to stop thinking about all week is my son's passport. And I am thrilled to tell you that his passport came back only the day after I published my last episode. So I think that was last Thursday it came. And I have to say, I'm so impressed with the passport office. I think it was a turnaround of about 10 days when, considering the bad press they're getting at the moment, it's in the news. Yeah, we all know what the media's like for giving us bad news. But I would just like to say thank you so much to the passport office for that super duper quick turnaround. I can now look forward to my holiday, and I best go out shopping and buy some more swimsuits for myself, I think. Right, so let's get into this week's episode. I've moved myself back a little bit from the microphone, only because whenever I listen back to myself, I don't know if it's because I've got my headphones in or if it's, I don't know, but I can hear myself swallowing, which I find really disgusting. So I've just moved back a little bit, and hopefully it just picks up a little bit less noise. Here we go. So last week I obviously talked about the law of attraction. I gave you a really super basic overview in a nutshell of what the law of attraction is. I'm sorry if you can hear Hugo snoring. I've just realised he's snoring really loud. So last week I said about the law of attraction. Now, for this to make sense to you, I don't know about you, but for anything to make sense to me, I don't just need to know about it. I like to know how it works. So that's what I'm going to try and explain to you today. In order for us to truly make sense of the law of attraction, and actually to even enable us to make the law of attraction work for us, we need to understand something called the law of vibration. So the best way to explain this is that everything is energy. I've just had to dig myself out of a massive rabbit hole after researching different ways. Sorry, you can tell I'm really tired now. I do this every week. I've got myself into a massive rabbit hole, trying to work out different ways of explaining this to you. So here we go. So everything is made of particles. So obviously, the chair that you sit on, the pen that you're holding, your mobile phone, the food that you eat, even your body, everything is made of particles. And vibrations are happening to keep them in place. So without wanting to get too scientific, if you were to put everything, even our bodies, under a microscope, so our bodies are obviously made up of cells. If you were to break down each cell, it's made up of, millions of atoms. If you were to then break down each atom, it's made up of, protons, electrons, and neutrons. And if you're to break them down, they are basically made of energy. So, as I've said before, I'm not a scientist, but that is a good way of explaining it to a non-scientific mind, and I hope that makes sense. So therefore, everything is made of energy particles, and these particles, as I said, vibrations are happening to keep them in place. So these energy particles are traveling in waves. So that's how we can measure the frequency of their vibration. I say we can measure. Obviously, I'm not going to measure it because I'm not a scientist, but you know what I mean. So there we go. Everything is vibrating. Everything has a frequency. So even the things that we cannot see have a vibration. So we all know that sound travels on vibration. Our thoughts are vibration. Everything is vibration. I'm going to keep saying everything is vibration because Albert Einstein says it. So if he says it, why would I not say it, He said everything in life is vibration. There is nothing in the universe which does not vibrate. So if everything in life is vibration and our thoughts are vibration, then even our mental state and our emotions are vibration. And I'll be honest, this is what got really interesting for me, and I went down a little bit of a rabbit hole, to be honest with you. So apparently there's a book, this kept coming up in my research, I kept hearing about it everywhere. Apparently there is a book by David Hawkins called Power versus Force, and I'm totally going to read this book, and I'll report back to you when I've done it. Now, if you break down the word emotions, so E plus motion, emotion, energy is motion. Does that make sense? I just find that mind-blowing. So he has in this book, he has a table of what our different emotions, what frequency those emotions vibrate at. And unsurprisingly, at the top of the list, you've got joy, appreciation, empowerment, freedom, love, passion, optimism. And then as you get down the list, so then emotions that start vibrating at a lower frequency are things like boredom, pessimism, disappointment, and then right down the bottom of the list, you've got insecurity, guilt, unworthiness, fear, grief, unsurprisingly. So, as you can see, it's pretty obvious which emotions travel at higher and lower frequencies. So just to link this back to the law of attraction, let me remind you that like attracts like. So if you are vibrating on a high frequency, then you are going to attract high frequency people, opportunities, events, emotions. And similarly, if you're vibrating on a low frequency, then obviously you're going to attract low frequency things into your life. So that is why it's so important. That's why you always hear these sayings of raising your vibration and so on. So how do we raise our vibration? Now, This episode has been quite scientific so far, and I'm just going to give you one more fact that I've come across today. So, according to neuroscientists, an average person has about 60,000 thoughts per day, and of those, about sorry, I just hit the microphone. About 80% of them are negative, and 95% of them are repetitive. So 95% of our thoughts are the same thought as we had the day before, and 80% of those are negative. Like, that is unbelievable, isn't it? So, and that is obviously, that's things coming from our subconscious. It's things that we're not even aware of, things that we've been trained from birth to think, and it is then reflected in our behaviour and in our thoughts. So obviously in the earlier episodes of my podcast, we've talked a lot about training yourself to have a more positive mindset. And that really does play a massive part in learning to raise your vibrations. But given that the vast majority of our thoughts are coming from our subconscious, it's really important to dig deep into your emotions. An amazing way to do this, if you haven't tried it before, is meditation. Now, there's a lot of common misconceptions about meditation, and if you don't regularly practice meditation, then you might have an image of it sort of being a bit woo. But to be honest with you, you don't have to get into that, what you call the lotus position. Meditating can be purely daydreaming. Walking can help with meditation. It's just, getting into a space where your mind just wanders, and it's when your mind wanders that you really do get to those deep inner thoughts that really truly come from within. So another thing that's important to do is to recognize your emotions. Don't reject bad emotions. So we all have bad emotions. We all have, in that list that I told you about earlier, we all have feelings of insecurity and disappointment. And it's really important to actually recognize those and acknowledge them, and as we have said in the past, forgive them, let them go, because by simply ignoring them, we are retaining this energy in our bodies. So if obviously that is negative energy, and if that's what we're retaining in our body, then our vibration is going to be continually low. And be aware of those repetitive thoughts. Obviously, as I said earlier, 95% of our thoughts are apparently repetitive thoughts. Now, a lot of them will be subconscious thoughts, so that does make it a little bit more tricky. But the thoughts that do keep coming up, be aware of them and work through your limiting beliefs. So if you heard episode 3, then I did talk a lot about limiting beliefs and different ways that you can try to overcome these limiting beliefs and tell yourself a new story. So if you haven't listened to episode 3, then I do highly recommend that you go back and have a listen to that one. Another thing we can do to raise our vibration, and you're not going to be surprised when I say this, but gratitude. I go on about gratitude all the time, but it's important that you are intentional with your gratitude. So when you are writing your gratitude list, or you don't have to write it, you can think of things that you're grateful for and just try and be in a state of gratitude, but feel your emotions, feel why you're grateful, and work out what truly makes you happy, what really, really puts a smile on your face. And once you've worked that out, do more of it. If you can't do more of it right now, work out a way to do more of it. Work out a plan of action. So for me, My absolute happiest times are when my family and I are together. So me, Craig, and the boys. And it usually involves travelling. So that's my two, right at the top of my list, my two things that truly make me happy. So when the four of us are together, and usually it's when we're away from the normal sort of daily life. So it usually is, like I say, when we're traveling or even if we're out for the day. But when the four of us are laughing together, like that is what I think that's right up there for me. And like I say, I do love exploring new places as well. So those two things they're the things that I strive to have more of. Everything I do is to make more time to do those things. Now, as you can imagine, it's pretty impossible to do those things all the time. So, daily life does happen. Things do get in the way. The boys have school, we have work to do. So we can't possibly be laughing, the four of us together all the time. We can't possibly be traveling all the time. So this is where gratitude comes in and is super important. So those times when life is a little bit mundane, shall we say, or, actually that's not right. It's not mundane, is it? It's just the fact that it's not what truly makes me happy and puts me on my highest vibration. Obviously, you can't always be on your highest vibration. So using gratitude to kind of try and put me in that state is really important. So, I think about those times that we have, and I'm really grateful for them. And we've got Google, what do you call them? It's like a Chrome stick, I think it's called. So we've got that plugged into our TV, and when we're not watching the TV, which we very rarely watch the TV, if I'm honest, but we tend to have our family photos rotating pretty much constantly. I've also got one in the kitchen as well. So I'm always seeing pictures of me and the boys and Craig and the dogs at our most fun and happy times. So, and you can guarantee that all the photos that are on rotation, they are all when we're traveling. So that just helps me be grateful. Every time I see a photo, it takes me back to that time, Now, you may or may not know that foods can also affect your vibration. So as we've discovered, everything in life is vibration. So that includes food. So in front of me, I have a list of high vibration foods. So you can eat your way to a higher vibration. Now, the top of the list, and I have to admit this is something I'm not very good at, is all food in its organic state. I'm not very good at buying organic fruit and veg, if I'm honest with you. But that is, after discovering this, that is certainly something that I will work on. I guess it makes sense because it's in its purest form. Anyway, fresh, seasonal, organic or local fruits and vegetables. Healthy oils and fats, including olive oil, coconut oil, avocado. Nuts, seeds and sprouts, which is good. I eat a lot of sprouts. I love sprouts. Legumes, seaweed and fungi. Mushrooms, I guess. Whole grains, such as oats, brown rice, spelt, fermented foods, raw chocolate, raw honey, maple syrup and dates, and food prepared in a variety of ways, including raw food, steamed, baked, roasted. I do eat a lot of vegetables, and I don't tend to steam them, if I'm honest, but I do eat a lot of baked or roasted vegetables, so I guess that's good. I love this list because I am vegan, and I do notice that there's no meat or dairy on this list. There's also pure or filtered water and water in glass bottles, herbal teas, and culinary herbs and spices that are organic. So there is a good list of high vibration foods. Now, low vibration foods include food with natural flavours, added colouring, processed flours. So if you eat a lot of bread, that is low vibration. Sugars, sugars and artificial sweeteners. Coffee that's not organic. Oh, damn. I don't drink that much coffee, I guess. 1 cup a day. Sodas and beverages with sugar, including healthy drinks in plastic bottles. So obviously that does include, if you drink diet drinks or low sugar drinks, then they're usually loaded with sweeteners. So obviously they're not good. They're very low vibration. Tap water or water from a plastic bottle. Alcohol, grain-fed meats, poultry, processed, packaged, canned and fast foods. I guess that obviously makes sense. Unhealthy processed oils such as canola, margarine, vegetable oils, and pasteurized cow's milk, yogurt and cheese, not from organic sources. So, if you just drink your normal cow's milk from the shop or the supermarket, then that's usually pasteurized and is low vibration. And finally on the list is deep fried foods and microwaved foods. So I guess looking at this, it's obviously foods that are in as much as their natural state as possible is what you would class as a high vibration food. So there we go. Do with that what you will. So we have done all we can to raise our vibration. And I say we because I'm sure you probably are as well. Otherwise you wouldn't be listening to this podcast. So we've done everything we can to raise our vibration. But we're still all vibrating on different frequencies. So I'm vibrating at a different frequency to you, to Craig, to my neighbour. So what happens when we come across somebody who is clearly on a much lower vibration to us? Because it's not always going to be possible for us to be around people who are on a high vibration. Now, I'm not talking people who are out of character in being low vibration, if you know what I mean. So if somebody is suffering from grief, but they're usually on a high vibration, then obviously you're going to do what you can for that friend or family member to just be around them. And yes, it is going to drain your energy, but that's obviously something that we can't get out of, for people close to us. We have to help them through those situations. But what about if we realise that we've got a friend or a relative who is on quite a naturally and consistently low vibration? Now, this is a tricky one, and I have addressed this in previous podcasts. So again, please do go back and listen. I think it might be episode 1 or 2 when I talk about this. But there are a couple of things you could do. So again, it just depends on how close this person is to you or how much they mean to you, I guess. But one of the things you can do is try and help raise their vibration. So if they're consistently looking at the negative things in life, or they're consistently in a state of insecurity, fear, or anger, then once you notice them talking about these things, then try and change the subject, or try and ask them questions and get them to see the things that they have got to be grateful for, without making it obvious that that's what you're doing, obviously. But you do have to remember that you're not responsible for this person's emotions or state of mind. Because let's face it, the alternative, if certain people are constantly bringing your vibration down, then you have to decide whose energy is more important to you. Is it your own energy or is it somebody else's? And if you decide that your own energy is more important, which I really hope you do, then maybe just limit your time that you spend with that person, or assess if it's in certain places or scenarios that the other person is in a low vibration or is being negative. So if it's in the comfort of their own home, then, go out for a walk with them instead. And I know I've said this before, but be around different people rather than in that scenario that makes this person negative. Does that make sense? But something to remember is that we all have the power to change someone else's vibration for the good or the bad, which is basically an exchange of personal energy, if you like. So, just limit the amount of time that you spend with energy vampires sucking the life out of you. I know it sounds brutal, but that's what it is. They're sucking the energy away from you. Now, I've got to be honest, talking about other people bringing down your vibration brings down my vibration. So I'm going to stop talking about that. And I just want to bring you back to how that all links with the law of attraction. So obviously, if you're on a high vibration, then you're going to be attracting other high vibration events, experiences, people, and that is what we all want at the end of the day, isn't it? So I just want to finish up by giving you a couple of ideas if you need to immediately raise your vibration. Some quick and easy things you can do are dance, look at photos that trigger happy memories, plan a holiday or a day out, which is my favourite thing to do, go for a walk in nature and just appreciate everything that you've got around you. And finally, last but not least, and probably the most important one, which I bang on about all the time, is to write a gratitude list. I'm going to leave it there today, but I would love for you to let me know what you've done, what you do this week to raise your vibration. Let's all think of something we can do to raise our vibration, because however high your vibration is right now, it can always be higher. It can literally always be higher. So let's all do something that raises our vibration. And please do let me know. Also, please do follow and share the podcast if you can. If you think of anybody who might enjoy it or who might benefit from it, then please do share it. And don't forget to join me on Instagram. Instagram's more visual, and I love posting pictures of things that make me happy. So please do join me on Instagram. And don't forget, I do have a Facebook group as well. The link is in the show notes. So let me know if you want to join. Last but not least, if you have anything in mind that you want me to specifically talk about regarding positive mindset or the law of attraction, the law of vibration, manifesting, anything like that, please do let me know. If not, then I can't wait to see you next week. Bye.